that.
All the crazy things we did back then. If our pennies on the track, I'm beginning to jump back. What I give to play that game with her again. Train don't come here no more. No, no, train don't come here no more. Tracks are overgrown. I can't find my way back home. Like a flashing neon sign, the dreams I left behind. Fading memory, how it used to be. Train don't come, train don't run, train don't come here no more. Train don't come, train don't run, train don't come here no more. No more, no more. Clickety clack, clickety clack. Clickety clack, clickety clack. Clickety clack, clickety clack. Last stop, Terrapin Crossroads.
Folks, welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show. We are indeed at Terrapin Crossroads with an incredible family lineage in music. Two of the Rowan brothers, Lorin Rowan, Christopher Rowan. Welcome to the Jake
Cheers.
Feinberg Show.
Jake,
What,
all right.
what an honor to be here.
Jake on the lake.
You know, Lorin, can you talk about, either one of you can jump in here, but how did you learn to tell a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end to the song, where it's not always a 10? It not just dynamics in the music, but in the way you tell the story.
Well, you got to build it like you were reading a book. There's a beginning, it's in a middle, and an end. And that's all you got to squeeze it into a few minutes in a song. And each verse is kind of leads to the next one. And maybe you're telling a different thing in the second verse. It's building. The whole idea is to build. And you have a climax at the end.
Climax. Reminds me of a song I wrote.
Well, no, let me ask you. I mean, wasn't part of the magic and the mystique of the Rowan brothers the lyrics, the harmonies, obviously?
Lyrics are very important.
Can you talk about telling a story in a song?
Well,
Well, that one right there.
That's what I'm saying. I
Train
mean,
don't come here no more.
Yeah.
Well, my brother and I grew up in a rural town west of Boston, about 20 miles as the crow flies. And growing up as kids, they had put a train that was about a quarter mile from our house. And we had woods and meadows, and you'd hear the 7 o'clock in the morning train coming down the track, and you could hear the whistle blow, and then the fathers who went to work in Boston, you could hear it come
I
back and
love it,
fly.
the chugging of the train, because you guys had that internal
Yeah.
time feel.
And the thing is, back there outside of Boston, they put in and that was built like around 1880 when trains were really a big deal, how they could get out to the country and beyond just being in the city. So when they put the Massachusetts Turnpike in, which made getting to Boston simpler by automobile, the train just wasn't able to support itself. So one summer when we were touring, he and I walked down there where the train used to come, and we just looked at each other and said, "Train don't come here no more." And that's how that song began.
You guys talk about Fitchburg a little bit. These family reunions where you used to cook the groove. Talk about cooking the groove in Fitchburg, Lorin.
well, that
Because your Peter, who will definitely be tuning in at some point, was 9 years your elder.
Yeah.
So he was a totally different generation.
yeah.
But the Fitchburg hang. Can you
Well,
break that
I
down?
think it was the original house concert we ever played, house party, because they knew that we played, and every time we come, our Uncle George kind of looked like a thin Colonel Sanders, but with a white mustache, a very debonair gentleman. He played music himself. He played the banjo, played the organ for the Boston Pops, traveled the world.
He's friends with
ran the-
Arthur Fiedler, who
He
conducted the
gave
Boston
Peter.
Pops.
He gave Peter
in
his
the
first
60s.
guitar, a Spanish guitar that Peter still has.
He held his family party every second week in September. The family
Clam bake.
party.
It was
The clam bake. That's it was the clam bake. I couldn't remember what exactly it was.
Unbelievable. So we
So
would
New
at the end
England.
of the night play. At the end of the night, in the afternoon, it would be like, "Boys, did you bring your banjos?" You know, everything was a banjo. So even
Yeah, the story was he got kicked out of MIT because he was caught playing the banjo. You know, that would have been like 1925.
Wow. They didn't like folk music back then.
Peter being the oldest, had discovered the folk scene, and we used to do this song. It became our anthem. Does a chewing gum lose its flavor on the bedpost overnight? And everybody would sing it, and it would be. And then we might play a few other things that we kept learning. Everly Brothers. Every year it'd be a little different because we'd all be growing and stuff. And I know one year Chris had a washtub bass the really handmade one, you know, with a wire to an old broomstick.
Wow.
Put
The
in
laundry line and
put in a
the-
big bucket,
the
and our
broom.
Uncle Dave got on it and was like, "Oh, let me try that,"
Let me try, and he
and he
breaks
broke
it.
the thing.
Who was the cat in the Jim Kweskin band that played the one-string bass?
Fritz Richmond.
Fritz Richmond. You
Yeah.
played a one-string bass too?
Washtub
bass?
He inspired me.
But yeah, one summer Chris was playing bass, you know, and he had to wear that thing in his hand because it was like you're playing against. Yeah, it's just.
didn't wanna
This
get
is
listeners.
because I had not gotten a chance to see you guys in the gravy years of touring circuits for all musics. How much were your records? Did you stretch out more in a live setting than what was on your records?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And can you talk about the jazz aesthetic of improvisation in your kind of folk rock music?
We
Because you were playing some great jazz, mandolin jazz right there.
yeah. Well, I grew up learning mandolin in the bluegrass tradition from Pete bringing home bluegrass records, and he gave me my first mandolin. Oh, I think I bought it. Right. Grandpa had given me my $25 Christmas present.
That was a ton of money back then.
I know, and I was like, "Oh my God, Christmas is coming! Grandpa's giving it." And Peter said, "I'll sell you this mandolin, or I'll trade it for 25." I was like, "Okay." I have that mandolin still. It's a beautiful Gibson Junior A. But I learned to play that, and it's still got great tone. Although I ended up getting this for the road, and I've been using this for the last 10 years. But practically speaking, mandolin was I started that when I was 12 years old, and Dave Grisman was our producer for a bunch of for a while there, and a bunch of records, and he showed me some scales that I've never forgotten. That kind of picking is a total bluegrassy, jazzy. You learn that, and you can start to get those triplet.
Can you play a tune that would be able to demonstrate?
We'll play a short version of.
Here's a thing that.
Yeah.
here's a
Oh,
thing
this is
that-
what it.
This is during the gravy years, as you called them.
Gravy. Yeah, look at that.
And, this
Those were the gravy years.
Well, this
70.
is our-
Russ Kunkel on drums, man, crushed that thing.
This became it's semi-hit 54 with a bullet on Billboard. Anyway, a little history of the three of us, and Pete's playing a mandola, which is a bigger version of the mandolin,
Yeah, that was our
which
sound.
was
It's my favorite album.
song
Yeah.
started off. But
But yeah, stretch out.
Here's a little bit
Stretch
of,
out for this wonderful audience.
swamp grass, we call it.
Swamp, I love it. Doug Kershaw. Lorin, Rowan, Christopher Rowan.
Thank you guys.
Yeah,
Thank you.
before, yeah, thank you. Chris, looking back on it, why did you guys spend a year in the studio making the Rowan Brothers album?
You mean the first one?
Yeah,
with
because
Brisbane?
when I talked to Lorin on the radio, he was talking about David Grisman. Grisman was just searching. He's like, why not? Let's get the perfect sound, the best sound we could get with your voices specifically. And I wasn't alive, but that was the Beatles' time, and you guys were from the West. You're from New England roots. Can you break down like the idea of you weren't looking to make a hit, were you?
Yeah, we were. we wanted to make the best record we could make.
I mean,
And
we had been signed by Clive Davis, and it's in the record business. If you're actually trying to make a living out of it, which isn't a bad idea, you get a song that sells,
Yep.
and then that's like your calling card. And then people come out and hear you because they liked hearing your song on the radio back in those days. And we just, it was an evolution. It was very organic evolution where all of us, Lorin and I and David and our engineer and even our manager, we all
Bob
were-
Wolf was the engineer?
Yeah,
Billy
just
Wolf.
Because
Billy
he
Wolf.
was over at Apple where you were.
Well, he's got a whole story to tell, but long story short, it was just an evolution of where David wanted to make sure we had just the right songs for the record, and for its time and as it is today, it's a classic.
It is a
we
classic.
were searching for a sound, so we took time to try out things. It's probably, we didn't know anything better than the fact that we had the opportunity to do it. So it took longer than, I mean, we weren't the longest by any means, but at the time it
Wasn't like, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, they'd have 2 weeks at RCA Studios with bowls of cocaine, but it wasn't like that.
we
Stinson Beach was a beautiful. I just want to be clear because a lot of people go back, even my peer generation goes back to try to feel the essence of what was there. How many of the cats were coming in from Texas? Your brother told me when he was there, when you were there, guys be like, "Hey, look for my couch for a week. Look after my couch for a week, please." And he's like, "Nah, I don't think so." But there were a lot of outlaws. It wasn't right. I mean, there was a Texas vibe there.
When Peter got involved, he had a strong affiliation with friends from Texas, and outlaws in the sense of like, I guess there might have been some, not that Peter had anything to do with it, but marijuana was.
Hey, now it's legal. We're here at Terrapin, and everybody's having a puff whenever they want. And they get the security people are like, yeah, whatever.
Your fish is ready, but
Yeah, we gotta go.
Lauren, one thing,
You're fishing.
music. You're here at Terrapin Crossroads. It's how important is it for you at this point in your career to be a link in the chain for future generations' understanding of how real music is made at this point?
Well, I'm just proud to be able to play music and happy to share it with people that are great players that want to play and search out music as a means of expression. I'm always looking and keeping my ears open for other sounds and worldly sounds. I love all kinds of music, and
What does the future generation of folk musicians look like to you guys?
I don't know.
I think it's something.
You're
where-
here. You're
songs.
basking in the youth here.
Songs. It's songs.
It's
It's
something
so-
about a melody and passion. It's kind of a calling that you can't help but feel it inside. And we've been fortunate enough in our main way of expressing ourselves through melody and instruments. And it's a great reservoir of rejuvenation every time we get to perform or write music.
It'll keep you young. Music
It
keeps
is.
you young, and that's what this place is great about. We're having a great night tonight with a bunch of other great players. Pete Lavazzoli plays with the Jerry Garcia Band. Scott Law plays with everybody. Eric McCann played with Santana, Bonnie Raitt, Clarence Clemens. We're happy people to be able to be playing music.
Do you get the tour at all?
Yeah,
you
we've been to Hawaii.
Yeah, that's.
We're going back east in the summer. We played out in Sedona, and we get around, but we like working on different projects.
I just feel like the Rowans are needed in places like Oklahoma. And,
You know what? If we had a real good booking agent, we'd be happy to get on that.
All right,
That's
booking
right.
agent.
Hey, we got to run.
We got to run.
Yo.
Thanks a lot.
Yo,
Jay.
the Tao of Rowan. Love
Yeah.
always.
Love, buddy.